Hi, I'm Sharon Toerek. I'm a marketing and intellectual property lawyer. I'm principal of Toerek Law, and I'm also author of the Legal and Creative Agency Protection System. I've counseled independent marketing agencies nationwide for almost 15 years on their industry legal issues, and I'm going to share some of what I've learned with you in a series of legal and creative law lessons. In this creative law lesson, we'll review some of the best ways for marketing agencies to save money on their legal fees. While it might also sound like a lot of ways to spend money, putting proactive legal measures in place for your agency actually saves you a lot of time and legal fees in the long run. So here are 10 to put in place in your agency today. Let's get started. First, have a model client contract form. Even though the agency might decide to sign whatever contract the client puts in front of it, you should always be ready with your own version of the agency's master service agreement. It puts you in a much stronger position to negotiate a fair relationship with your client. Next, have a model freelancer agreement. You need a written agreement with freelancers and independent contractors to cover intellectual property ownership and restrictive covenants like confidentiality and non-solicitation of your clients. Remember, no agreement with the freelancer, no ownership of the work that they do for you. Next, use copyright and intellectual property ownership language in the new business documents. This is a common problem for agencies who pitch new business. They're very concerned about how to protect their intellectual property rights in that process, and this is one way you can do it. Use copyright notices on all the assets that you create and show the client during the new business pitch, and also use IP rights ownership clauses in any written proposals that include the agency's concepts or have its ideas contained in the documents. Next, perform trademark screening very early in the branding process. When you're working on a client branding project, it's important to begin the trademark review process just as soon as you possibly can. Use internet search engines, domain name registries, and the search feature at uspto.gov to do some preliminary research for free, and then engage trademark counsel or a trademark search firm to perform a more complete review before your client adopts the brand. If the agency doesn't want to assume responsibility for this work, make sure your client is getting it conducted internally on their end. Next, have model publicity rights releases. Have model releases for situations like testimonials, contest winners, man-on-the-street interviews, and property releases in your arsenal before you use these materials in your client marketing. Next, track expiration dates and terms for licensed assets. If you're using any third-party asset like stock photography, recorded music, software, or any other work that's created by a third party, you're probably using it by license or your client has a license to use it. You need to keep track of these. Make sure you know when and where you can use these materials, when the licenses expire, and how long they last. And make sure your clients are tracking them too. Staying on top of license information like this costs you nothing, but it will cost you a lot if you're not compliant with the terms of the licenses. Next, make sure you have model social media and content marketing policies and counsel your clients to make sure they have them too. You want policies in place for the way the agency's team uses social media and content marketing tactics, and you also want to have policy language that your clients can incorporate into their own policies. You want to make sure that you're being compliant with FTC rules on testimonials and disclosures, and you want to make sure the policies include intellectual property protection and permissions language. Next, audit your software licenses regularly. This would be true for any business, but it's especially important for agencies who are in creative services fields like the ones that you're in. You use a lot of software products to execute client work and create client assets. So you want to make sure you're tracking the renewal and expiration dates for all the software installed on all the machines at your agency so that you know when they need renewal and so that you're not using any unauthorized software programs. Next, you want to make sure you review the errors and omissions coverage at least annually so that you're sure your policy limits comply with whatever are in your client contract obligations, and make sure the policy limits make sense given the revenues of your agency. Finally, have written employment policies and procedures at your agency. Again, this tip is important for any business of any size, but in the creative services industry, you want to make sure that your employment policies cover issues like portfolio display rights for work created by your employees and restrictive covenants like non-solicitation and non-competition of your agency's client. So there you have them, 10 quick tips for proactive, preventative measures you can put in place at your agency to save time, effort, and legal fees. I'm Sharon Toerek, and I hope you found this information helpful. If you'd like more legal tips and tools for your marketing agency, visit agencylegalprotection.com.